So let's begin with the first activity in Module 2. Number 1. Do the picture suggest the respective developmental stage? As you can see in the picture, definitely yes. It suggests the respective developmental stage from prenatal period to late adulthood. Number 2 question. Symbolize each developmental stage. Give a symbol that stands for the developmental task for each stage. So there are 9 stages. First, prenatal period. It refers to the prenatal development and development of a fetus in human embryo. Second, infancy. Birth to 2 years old. They cry, kick, suck, sew, heard, and taste. And also, slept a lot and occasionally smiled with meaning not entirely clear. Number 3, early childhood. 3 to 5 years old. They skipped, played, and ran all day long. Number 4, middle and late childhood. 6 to 12 years old. This period of expansive imagination and they thirst to know and to understand. Number 5, adolescents, 13 to 18 years old. They wanted to fly but found the first had to learn to stand and walk and climb and dance. Number 7, early adulthood, 19 to 29 years old. This time for work and love, sometimes leaving little time for any else. And also, they committing to a more stable life take longer than we imagine. Number 8, middle adulthood, 30 to 60 years old. Comes to sense that the generation of living things pass in a short while and like runner's hand on a touch of life. For some, middle age is such a praggy place, a time when there is a need to discover that we are running from and to and why. And last, late adulthood, 61 years old and above. Each of us stand alone at the heart of earth and suddenly it is evening, and learn that life is lived forward but understood backward.
Number 3 questions. If you were given a chance, which developmental stage would you like to be in and why? If I am given a chance to choose to which developmental stage, I would like to be in early adulthood stage. Because in this stage, we can do things and we are already matured. We are physically complete and we can now learn to accept responsibility, actions, and criticism.
The next topic is abstraction. Concept of developmental task. In each stage of development, a certain task or tasks are expected of every individual, which means a developmental task is one that arises predictably and consistently at or about a certain period in life of the individual. The concept of developmental task assumes that human development in modern societies is characterized by a long series of tasks that individuals have to learn throughout their lives. Some of these tasks are located in childhood and adolescence, whereas others arise during adulthood and old age. Next, Roberts Havinghurst defined developmental tasks as one that arises at a certain period in our life, the successful achievement of which leads to happiness and success with later tasks, while period leads to unhappiness, social disapproval, and difficulty with later tasks. According to Robert Havinghurst, successful achievement of a certain task is expected to lead to happiness and to success with later tasks, while period may result in unhappiness in the individual, disapproval by the society, and difficulty with later tasks.
Developmental stages. The 8 developmental stages cited by Sunrock are the same, with having Hertz 6 developmental stage only. That having Hertz did not include prenatal period. Having Hertz combined infancy and early childhood, while Sunrock mentioned them as 2 separate stages. By Sunrock, he has 8 developmental stages, and these are prenatal, infancy, early childhood, middle and late childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. But but kay having Hertz naman is 6 developmental stages lang, dahil hindi niya sinama or minention ang prenatal and pinag-isama niya na ang infancy and early childhood, kaya naging 6 na lang ang developmental stages para kay Robert Having Hertz. The developmental task. First one is prenatal period, from conception to birth. It involves tremendous growth from a single cell to an organism complete with brain and behavioral capability. Dito sa stage na to is nabubuo ang isang bata by after conception, and ayon kay Sunrock is totally complete na ang brain at iba pang organism nito. Second, infancy, from birth to 18 to 24 months, a time of extreme dependence on adult. Many physiological activities are just gaining language, symbolic thought, sensory-motor, coordination, and social learning. Dito naman sa stage na to is natututo na ang isang bata kung paano magsalita at natututo na din itong mag-explore ng iba pang activities.
Number 3. Early childhood. These are the preschool years. Just to clarify about the early childhood, ito yung age or stage na kaya na nilang alagaan yung sarili nila, nade-develop na din yung kakayahan nilang bumasa at sumulat, at yung buhay nila ay nakapokus sa paglalaro o pagiging isang bata. Number 4. Middle and late childhood. The fundamental skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic are mastered. The child is formally exposed to the longer world and its culture. Basically, sa gantong stage or age, malawak na yung pag-iisip ng isang bata. Medyo marami na rin siyang nalalaman about sa paligid niya.
The developmental tasks, numbers 5 and 6. Developmental stages. The 8 developmental cited by Sunrock are the same with Having-Hertz 6 developmental stages, only that Having-Hertz did not include prenatal period. Having-Hertz combined infancy and early childhood, while Sunrock mentioned them as 2 separate stages. Now let's discuss their theory about adolescence. According to Sunrock, the adolescence stage begins from the age 10 to 12 years old and ending up to 18 to 22 years old. And it is begin with rapid physical changes. Ito yung bigla ang pagtangkad o pagdagdag ng timbang nila. Yung changes in body contour din lalong-lalo na sa babae. And the development of sexual characteristics such as enlargement of the breast, development of facial and pubic hair, and deepening of the voice lalong-lalo na sa lalaki. Thought is more logical, abstract, and idealistic. And more time is spent outside of the family. So kapag nandito ka na sa stage ng adolescence, mas kapansin-pansin na mas gusto nilang makasama yung mga kaibigan nila compare sa parents nila. According to Having-Hertz, adolescence begins from the age of 13 to 18 years old. Having-Hertz believe that in this stage you are achieving mature relations both sexes, and achieving a feminine or masculine social role, and achieving also a emotional independence of adults. Having-Hertz believes that the adolescent stage is preparing for marriage and family life and preparing for an economic career. So kapansin-pansin na mas nag-focus si Sunrock sa physical appearance ng adolescents compare kay Having-Hertz na nag-base siya sa social role ng adolescents. Now let's move on to early adulthood. According to Santrac, ang early adulthood daw, yung tinatawag natin na young adults, sila yung mga may edad na 20 pataas hanggang 30 years old. So sa early adulthood, naniniwala si Santrac na ito daw yung panahon para ma-establish mo yung personal and economic independence mo. Ganon din yung career development mo, selecting a mate, learning to live with someone in an intimate way, and starting a family and rearing children. Now let's move on to Havig-Hertz theory of early adulthood. Havig-Hertz believed that within this stage, you are possibly selecting a mate, learning to live with a partner, starting a family, rearing children, managing a home, starting an occupation, and assuming civic responsibility. So, kapansin-pansin na yung theory ni Santrac at Havig-Hertz patungkol sa early adulthood ay hindi nagkahalayo. Almost the same lang. Nagkaiba lang sila sa theory nila patungkol sa adolescence.
Number 7 is middle adulthood. Just like what I said po sa report ko, middle adulthood, it is a time of expanding personal and social involvement and responsibility, of assisting the next generation in becoming competent and mature individuals, and of reaching and maintaining satisfaction in a career. And last, late adulthood. Late adulthood, it is a time for adjustment of decreasing strength and health, life review, retirement, and adjustment to new social roles.
The next topic is application. Number 1, answer this question with a learning partner. What are the implications of these developmentals to your role as a facilitator of learning? Let's pay particular attention to the stages that correspond to schooling, early childhood, middle and late childhood, and adolescence. Ang hinahanap dito ay kung ano ang mga tinuturo ng facilitators at mga teachers sa mga gantong age. So, actually given na to pero para lang malinaw. Number 1, early childhood. What are preschool teachers supposed to do with preschoolers? They help them develop readiness for school and not too academic in teaching approach. They ought to give much time for preschoolers to play or perhaps help preschoolers develop school readiness by integration children's game in school activity. So, sa early childhood daw, yung mga teachers hindi nila masyadong pinagpo-focus o pinagsaseryoso yung mga bata sa pag-aaral. Pero at the same time, may oras na tinutulungan nila yung mga ito magbasa at saka magsulat. At least kahit na naglalaro sila, meron pa ring knowledge na pumapasok sa kanila. Number 2, middle and late childhood. Elementary school teacher ought to help their pupils by preparing younger students for future education by teaching them vital subjects such as reading, science, and mathematics. They also help students to develop critical thinking skills, learn to solve problems, and understand abstract ideas. Kung sa early childhood ay hinahayaan pa lang ng mga teachers na maglaro ang mga bata at hindi sila masyadong mag-focus sa pag-aaral, dito naman sa middle and late childhood, yung mga teachers ginaguide na nila para makapag-focus sila sa pag-aaral or sa mga subjects.
Number 3, adolescence. High school teachers ought to help their students by guiding them and explaining about what the real life means is. Teachers should be the second guardian of every student when it comes to school. Teachers should always listen to their students and they should allow the students to share their thoughts.
Developmental tasks are a task that arises at or about a certain period in life, an successful achievement of which leads to inability to perform tasks associated with the next period or stage in life. There are 6 major age periods. First, infancy and early childhood. Next, middle childhood 6 to 12 years old, adolescence 13 to 18 years old. Next, early adulthood 19 to 29 years old, middle adulthood 30 to 60 years old, and later maturity 61 and above.
Number 2, What is an outstanding trait or behavior of each stage? Here are the stages, with some examples of traits or behaviors for each stage. First, prenatal. The examples of traits or behaviors in prenatal are gains weight, brain develops, immunity system develops, eyes open, and hiccups begin. Number 2, infancy. Some of examples are cries, eats every 2 to 3 hours, respond to human voice and touch, and begins to walk and talk. Number 3, early childhood. Some of examples are climb stairs, learn more complex sentences, can hope, and learns to socialize. Number 4, middle and late childhood. Some of examples are develops complex motor skills and peer acceptance is extremely important. Number 5, adolescence. Some of examples are puberty occurs, establishes a sense of self, and confrontations with authority. Number 6, early adulthood. Some of examples are learns to accept responsibility and learns to accept criticism. Number 7, middle adulthood. Some of examples are concerned about job, health, and family, and also the hearing and vision decrease. And last, late adulthood. Some of examples are concerned about health and finances, bones become brittle, and some memory loss.
What tasks are expected of each developmental task? The tasks are expected of each development stage will experience in each human. A developmental task is a task that arises at or about a certain period in life, and successful achievement of which leads to an ability to perform tasks associated with the next period or stage in life.
Thus, a developmental task in a higher level required accomplishment of the lower level developmental task. Yes, it requires. The developmental task in a higher level required accomplishment of the lower level of developmental task because we cannot proceed to the higher level if we cannot pass from the lower level. In development, we start from the lower to higher level.
That's all for Module 2. Again, we are Group 1. Thank you for listening.